It sounds like I'm intoxicated. I'm really not. Okay, I'm drinking Sprite. I'm really not. I promise. I am just I'm exhausted. I mean that game took something out of me. All right, the San Antonio Spurs, they're getting younger as I'm getting older. That's what's going on right now. They're sucking the life out of me. This team is sucking all of the life out of me. I swear, I will be in a tombstone by the time this season is over. I will be in a tombstone, and Keldon Johnson will be an infant. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. Put in City. I don't care either, dude. Just do whatever. Do whatever. Seriously. I don't care. All right. Let me bring up this game. Let's find it. Let's see. So we'll talk about two things. All right. We'll go over the bad news, and then we'll go over the good news. All right. So first and foremost, Timberwolves. Timberwolves, this is the bad news, okay? Well, I was expecting us to lose. It ended up being a close game. Don't let that fool you. It literally was Keldon hitting some good threes hitting one big three at the end. The Spurs made some pretty decent plays at the end. Do not let the score fool you, okay? The San Antonio Spurs got whooped. They got mollywopped. Do not think that this was a close game. It by no means was. All right, so just overall, how did I feel about it? Some people brought up to me, they were like, well, look at Sohan. Sohan played 16 minutes and he got benched. Rightfully so. I thought that his rotations were pretty slow. His defense individually on Anthony Edwards was decent, especially when he was guarding him. And Anthony Edwards really just kind of took the game over when Sohan wasn't on him. And that is what it is. Who cares? I mean, he did well on him last time, and Anthony Edwards still went off. I don't think Sohan can lock down someone like Anthony Edwards. He's just too quick. So it is what it is. But he did a fine job defensively on him individually. Offensively, however, he was basically non-existent. He wasn't as active as he normally is. I mean, he was somewhat engaged, but not really. It just felt like it was lack of energy from the entire squad. If your name isn't Devin Vassell, Malachi Branham, and Wemby in the first quarter, okay? Because even Wemby, I'll be real with you, man. Wemby, and he's so young. It is what it is. But Wemby, he started off so strong, and then as the game went on, it really didn't matter. I mean, he was turning the ball over left and right, just like anybody else on the team. Trey Jones looked terrible. I know he went 5 for 5, but he looked terrible. I know he has 6 assists. He looked terrible. Okay, it was so many misses that he normally don't miss. Vassell did fine. I know some people say that he's shot chucking. I don't necessarily see that as the case. I feel like he's kind of the only one stepping up. And I will call a player out really quickly for shot chucking. Don't get me wrong. But Devin Vassell, I think that he did a good job of attacking where he could. Passing the ball in ideal situations, facilitating fairly well. I thought that he had an overall good game, especially on the defensive end. And I think Popovich thought so too, because he played nearly 40 minutes. Oh, thank you, Dan. Dan said, we are so freaking bad. 2 lotto picks won't do crap. This team has so many problems. It's ridiculous. Well, Dan, calm down. Calm down. Okay, I know I'm coming across as like a doomer right now. I know. This game in particular annoyed me. When I think about the future, I get happy. But when I think about the here and now, the present day San Antonio Spurs, I get really sad, okay? But looking at the future, it will do a lot. That actually will do a lot. And keep in mind, most of these guys won't be on this team. I expect a big chunk of these guys to either not be on the team or is moved to the bench. Like, I mean, maybe Trey Jones won't be moved to the bench yet. Julian Champagnie will probably be moved to the bench. But I expect a big chunk of these guys not to even be here. So the big problem that I'm seeing with the Spurs is obviously it's the experience. Let's be real, okay? It's lack of talent, all right? We all know that. But it also seems as if they come into these games, the starting unit plays fairly well. And as soon as Wemby sits and the bench guys kind of got to come in, the opposing team just goes on a run. Just goes on a run. We have no one to guard them. No one on the bench can defend. Nobody. Blake Wesley, to an extent, he's a pretty decent defender. He's still learning, but yet we can't just lean on Blake Wesley, right? There's other guys on the court. There's at least 2 or 3 other guys on the court that can't defend. Osman defense is terrible. He went 4 for 8. That's fine, but it was terrible. Keldon Johnson, he got hot, especially near the end. He went 5 for 11 from 3. He was terrible. Defensively, he's terrible. Malachi Branham, I think that he's playing much better, and he's pretty aggressive. Very young, kind of the same boat as Blake West, so I won't get too angry with him. But his defense isn't that great, right? It's just, but Keldon Osman, those were 2 that really stood out to me. And Zach Collins, I'm at the point where I'm not gonna bash him because I think that he's out of position. I'll be real. I don't think that Zach Collins is a power forward. I mean, a center. I'm sorry. He's definitely a power forward. He played it in college. He's a power forward. But then the question with that comes, okay, once Don Barlow is getting regular minutes, because I expect him to get a regular contract, what use do we have as Zach Collins? I mean, I guess we can pair those 2 together, but I don't know. I would much rather Don Barlow be at the power forward position, Bassey get healthy, if we can just bring him in, let him be center for a minute. I just don't really see what use we would have for Zach Collins at that point. But just overall, it was pathetic. I thought the team overall had lack of energy. And when I mean lack of energy, I mean just so much carelessness, man. I mean, there was no reason for us to have as many turnovers as we did. It was just lazy turnovers. And like I said, it was things going on where I'm like, what the heck, man? This is why I didn't like the narratives that people were creating. Like, there were so many people trying to make narratives out of this, saying, well, it's because guys don't want to pass it to Wemby. It's because this guy's jealous. This guy wants the spotlight and all this bullcrap. It has nothing to do with any of that. Every single game, we're going to come across something new or something going on, something that might be out of character for this team. Because 1, you have lack of talent, but most importantly, you have lack of experience. And when you don't have enough talent, you have to be basically perfect. Like, the Spurs could get away with some of the mistakes that they made if you had more talent, but when the bench comes in and they give up these runs, they have to be flawless. It's like best case scenario, literally. I'm not trying to be rude here, but let's be real. Best case scenario when our bench is on the court is we keep the score close. Like, that's the best case scenario. It's not even best case scenario like the old 2014 Spurs or whatever, that we can go on a run with our bench and we meet up, add another 5 points to our lead. No. Best case scenario for the bench is that they can stay in the game. That's the best case scenario. And then we're just leaning on Wemby and Vassell to save us offensively. God awful, dude. Just god awful, terrible. I've said this time and time again. Sohan is the type of player that I'm not expecting him to score a lot of points. I'm just not. I expect him to be more of a glue guy. This game, he was dreadful, especially offensively. I felt like he wasn't necessarily there. The energy wasn't there like it normally is. It was bad. But I will say that once you have more talent around a guy like that, you will be better. You just will. You'll be better. Because that's his role. That's the type of guy he is. So I would never expect Sohan to be like a 20-plus point scorer or nothing like that. But he's super young. He's Wemby's age, only 20 years old. It is what it is. A lot of young guys. I'm not going to get on to the young guys that much. But then when you have just lack of effort, I mean, it's not even an excuse of being young at that point, right? Like you have to at least put forth the effort. But man, oh man, gosh, man, they were just so careless with the ball. It was hard to watch. That was terrible. This is why, Clan, I'm opposed to trading for a Trey and keeping our picks. We need to do what OKC did and draft a deep bench. They have the best in the league. I think that's a pretty good segue. All right, so before we go into that, because I definitely want to talk about Trae Young. All right, we'll just make this one big collaborative video, okay? That was the bad news. This game is the dreadful, god-awful news, but we also have some good news. Before we get into that, really quick, if you guys want to support the channel, man, head on over to BetUS. Big shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this video, this live stream, and my videos for the entire season, essentially. So if you guys go over to the link in my description and you head on over to BetUS, just click that link, type in promo code JOIN125. You will get 125% bonus on deposits up to $2,500. So your first 3 deposits, you'll get 125% bonus up to $2,500. So that means you put in $100, you get $125 to play with. That is $225 right there that you can try out. So at the very least, go click the link in my description, check it out, see how you feel about it. But there's so many different things to bet on. You got over, under, especially if you do specific games. But if we go to, for instance, they got Dallas Mavericks versus Toronto Raptors. You can do day of, and you can have point spread, as you can see. You have total game as far as over 240, under 240, or 41. It's a lot of, and you can do it even by quarters. These aren't up yet, but when it's the time of the game, because this is on Wednesday, you can do all of that. So it's just a really great great way to bet on games. Great way to mix it up as much as you want, especially if you want to even mix it up and add on to the amount that you can win. You could say something as simple as, I don't know, Wemby will have over 20 points and the Spurs will win. That would be an insane bet, okay? You would win so much if the Spurs win, because the Spurs have not been winning. Okay, I'm getting upset. Link in my description. Check out BetUS. But yeah, big shout out to them for reaching out and sponsoring with the channel. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the good news, okay? We do have some good news. And this is going to be kind of dark, but not really. Let's see. Hold on. Did I have it up here? All right, so we're piggybacking off of the comment we just read, okay? Trae Young. Trae Young, as you guys know, if you've been paying attention at all, Trae Young had a recent surgery. I saw some people say, hey, is he having this surgery because he wants out? No. He literally got hurt during the game. But it went well. He'll be reevaluated in 4 weeks. Now, why is this good news? Well, this is good news because it mixed things up in Atlanta. So this can go either way, really, but I just see it as nothing but a positive. So now that Trae Young is off of the roster for a little while, the Atlanta Hawks can really evaluate their roster and figure out what exactly they want to do, okay? So like I said, it can go either way. They could say, if they're winning games, they can sit back and say, okay, well, we're winning, so maybe this roster is good enough to keep Trae Young on it. Maybe that is possible. Or they could say, well, I mean, we got these young guys here. Trae Young's contract is pretty rough. You know, maybe we feel like DeJounte Murray isn't bringing as much as we would like. Let's trade these guys away. We got a nice core here, and let's try to run it, right? That's one option they have for sure. Or excuse me, if they start losing, then they might say, okay, it's time to just blow this whole thing up. Trae Young is taking a big chunk of the cap space. We need to just blow this thing up. So it's like either way, it could be fine for us for the most part. So I'm not necessarily worried about it. Regardless of what they do, I'll be real with you. I think that they're going to either be pretty mid or really bad. But if the team is really terrible, if they're not working out, right now they look okay, but if they're not working out, if they're like, we just need to blow this whole thing up, then they will definitely turn to us for their picks back. And another thing to keep in mind too, if they're losing, that's also good for us because Toronto, let's say the Spurs don't want to do anything. Well, that means Toronto is in a better position. So if Toronto's in a better position, that also helps us in the 2024 draft. Oh man, what? Free J, I did say something. I said Sohan was bad. I said he had a bad game. Just make up whatever, I guess. But yeah, so either way, I think that this is going to be good news for the San Antonio Spurs, regardless of how this goes. Like I said, I say this so many times, if the Spurs want to sit back and chill, they can. I mean, I don't think it hurts us at all to do that. But I think the weirder the Atlanta Hawks situation is, the better it is for us. I really do believe that. But yeah, I will put Keldon in the trade package for Atlanta. Well, you would definitely have to package Keldon so you can match salaries. More than likely, Keldon will be the one you match salaries with, because what he's making 20, I think 20 million. I tend to believe even Trey can't help us get better. Okay, guys. I know I came into the stream upset. I know I came into the stream sad. All right. I'm not happy with the losses. I am not. It is miserable. But do not forget the Spurs are going to be fine. Do not forget we have reinforcements on the way. All right. This is like Helldivers. We got reinforcements on the way. Do not worry. You have a lot of lifelines here. All right. It's not over. We're not in a situation where it's dire. Like, I don't know, the Rockets, for instance, right? Like, the Rockets don't really own their near future that much. They signed all these veterans and they're just kind of below mid. They're just going to be a below mid team. The Spurs are in a better position they are at now than they were even right after post Kawhi, right? Like 2018, we're in a better position than we have been in a while. And I know it's hard to see, especially when you're losing this often. And let's be real, yes, it's almost like a lot of times we're watching these games and it's like Wemby improving tremendously on all fronts, and then the rest of the team is just trying to catch up. This is a bad roster, okay? But the whole point of this roster was to go ahead and sit back and see, okay, let's not get too hasty. Let's see what we can do. Let's see who stays, who fits with Wemby, and who doesn't. Before this season even started, we didn't even know what we were getting out of Wemby, right? We didn't even know. I think the stupidest thing, watch Hugo Gonzalez. What? Are you talking about the, isn't that a movie? Am I thinking of a movie? Chad, is that a movie? Clan watch Hugo Gonzalez. No? Who's the guy in the movie? A prospect? What's the guy in the movie with the Adam Sandler character? What's his name? Was it not that? What is it? I don't know. Sorry, I'm out of it. But one thing that I've heard people say quite often is like, well, you know, Popovich really needs to fix this roster. He really needs to get things together. And I don't know why he constructed this roster the way he did. And it's like, guys, Pop didn't construct the roster. Okay. He didn't construct the roster. What ended up happening, and this happens all the time, is that the front office made sure we had specific guys on the team. I'm sorry. I'm so out of it. I'm trying to read this. Okay, the chat got me out. My brain is all over the place. Okay, I saw people talking about Popovich and saying that, Pop, you really need to construct the roster a little bit better. And I'm like, Pop doesn't construct the roster. He just coaches the roster. The front office had this team set already, and it's just a matter of sitting back and evaluating who fits with Wemby, who doesn't. That's all I was trying to say. Good God. This team wasn't constructed for Wemby. They were going off of potential all the way up to this point. Devin Vassell was a fine person to bet on because he fits with just about any roster. Same thing with Sohan. He's fine to bet on. He fits with just about any roster. But guys like Branham and guys like Blake Wesley, they were definitely guys where you were sitting back and you're like, okay, they could potentially be something. We're doing it off of potential because you don't know what exactly you're going to have. They didn't know they were going to get Wemby. So you can't build around Wemby before knowing you're going to get Wemby. And then at that point, I know some people say you could have done it in the off season, but then it's like, well, who did you want in the off season to build around Wemby? Like what type of players, without knowing what type of player Wemby will be on the court this season, what guy did you want in free agency to try to build around Wemby? It's absolutely insane. But it's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. That's all I was trying to say. I'm sorry. My brain was all over the place. I am so tired. This game took so much out of me. I'm sorry. It took so much out of me. Sohan has his moments and is still in development. I'm not worried about Sohan. I'll tell you guys this, all right? I'm not worried about Sohan. Not worried about Devin. Not worried about Wemby. I never was worried about Trey Jones. It's just that Trey Jones is who he is. Like, I don't expect him to be like a star for us or nothing like that. I'm a little worried about Zach. I'm really worried about Osman. I don't think he'll be here. I'm worried about Keldon. Not that worried about Branham. I think that he'll have a fine career. I'm just worried if he'll fit with the team necessarily. But like him as a player, I think he'll be fine. He's been fine as of late. And I'm not really that worried about Blake, but you know. I fell asleep early in the third quarter and woke back up coming into your stream. That's kind of cool. Thank you. Welcome. We sucked once again. All right, I'm in this segment. This segment went on way too long. It's because I'm sleepy. I'm drained, I'm tired. The Spurs took so much out of me.